أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم
पनाह मांगता हूँ अल्लाह की शैतान मरदूद से।
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
अल्लाह के नाम से जो रहमान और रहीम है।
Assalamu alaikum brothers and sisters, and welcome to my show Future Stars. I'm your host Alvia, Zaidi, and some of you may know that coming up in the next few days is Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam's birthday. So today we'll be talking about Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, our sixth Imam, and we'll be giving you some information about his life and his personality and his characteristics. So to join me today we have Sister Sani, and she'll be joining in with some stories and questions and answers. So to start off, Sister Sani will read for us a story about Islamic society.
Imam Sadiq and Islamic society. One day when our sixth Imam Sadiq alayhi salam was walking down a street, he saw that some people had thrown the food that they could not eat onto the street. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam was very sad to see this. He told the people that what they had done was very wrong because there were so many people in the world who are hungry as they have no food. Our holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ has told us that if you do not think about the needs of other Muslims, then you are not a Muslim. This is why Imam Sadiq used to go out in the middle of the cold dark nights to give food to the poor. Moral: you should never take more than you need of anything. You should always think about other people, especially those who have not got as much as you have.
MashaAllah, thank you very much, and thank you very much for sharing that story with us. So just a small story to explain about the teachings of Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam. And now we're going to move on to a story that I have here, and this is just to explain about Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam and his teachings about the recognition of Allah. Turning to Allah during times of disasters is a sign of our feelings to godliness. Man gets involved with his views so much that he forgets about Allah. He gets fully trapped in his sins and wrongdoings. Once a tragedy happens upon a person, they suddenly remember Allah and turns to Him for help. Thus we realize that this sense of godliness is key in humans, but man's connection with worldly matters results in his forgetting. There is a well-known tradition that says a man went to see Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam and wondered about the respect of Allah. He said, "I have argued this matter with many educated people, but they have not been able to help me." Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam ended his amazement using his key human godliness and asked him, "Have you ever been aboard a ship?" The man said, "Yes." Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam asked, "Have you ever been on a sinking ship and reached out for a thin board to stay afloat?" The man said, "Yes, I have." Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam then said, "Then while you could not see any dry land or anyone there to save you, were you not really drawn to some power to rescue you?" The man replied in the positive and was finally calmed of his wonder about the respect towards Allah. So that's just a small story to show you about Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam and his teachings towards recognition of Allah. So now we're going to move on to a few questions, and first of all I'd like to ask Sister Sani, when was Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam born?
He was born on the 17th of Rabiul Awwal, 83 AH in Medina.
MashaAllah, thank you very much. And which Imam is Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam?
Imam Jafar Sadiq is our sixth Imam.
MashaAllah, thank you very much. And who was his mother?
His mother was Bibi Farwa.
MashaAllah. And who was his father?
His father was Imam Muhammad al-Baqir.
MashaAllah, thank you very much. So just a few questions to give you some facts about Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam. So now we're going to move on to another story that Sister Sani has for us, and this is just another story about Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam and his teachings towards thanking God.
in the land of Mina during Hajj pilgrimage, thanking God. The pilgrims had collected in the land of Mina during Hajj pilgrimage. Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam and his companions sitting in a place were eating some grapes placed before them. A beggar appeared and asked for charities. Imam Jafar Sadiq took some grapes to give him, but he refused to accept it and asked for money. Imam Jafar Sadiq told him to excuse him, as he did not have any money. The beggar went away upset. After going a few steps, he had second thoughts came back and asked for the same grapes. Imam Jafar Sadiq now refused to give him those grapes too. Soon after, another beggar appeared. Imam Jafar Sadiq again took some grapes and gave it to him. He accepted it and said, "Thanks to the Lord of Universe who gave me my food." On hearing these words, Imam Jafar Sadiq told him to wait and gave him 2 handfuls of grapes. The beggar thanked Allah for the second time. Imam Jafar Sadiq again told him to wait, and then turning one of his friends and asked, "How much money is with you?" The man searched his pockets and produced nearly 20 dirham, which he gave to the beggar at order of Imam Jafar Sadiq. The beggar, thanking Allah for the 3rd time, said, "Thanks are exclusive to Allah. O Allah, Thou art the bestower of the good, and Thou hast no companion." On hearing these words, Imam Jafar Sadiq took off his garment and gave it to the beggar. Now the beggar changed his tone and spoke a few words to thanks to Imam Jafar Sadiq himself. Then Imam Jafar Sadiq did not give anything, and he went away. His friends and companions who were present there said, "We thought that the beggar continued thanking Allah in the same manner as before. Imam Jafar Sadiq would have continued giving him more and more, but when he changed his words and praised and thanked Imam Jafar Sadiq himself, Imam Jafar Sadiq did not continue his help." Moral of the story: whenever you get anything, remember that although it may be from someone, Allah has wished for you to have it. So not only should you thank the person who has given it to you, Jazakallah, but also thank Allah, Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah, thank you very much, and thank you very much for sharing that story with us. So just another story to explain about Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam and his teachings towards his companions. So now we're going to move on to a story that I have here, and this is just about Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam and him justifying evil acts in light of the Noble Quran. So Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam had heard that an old man had become famous for his piety. One day he saw him surrounded by a large crowd. A little later the man came out of the crowd and, distancing himself from them, continued alone, whereupon Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam began to follow him. After a short time, Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam saw that he had stopped near a bakery, from where he silently picked up 2 loaves of bread. After a short distance, Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam. Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam said yes. The man continued, "It is really unfortunate that in spite of being the progeny of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, you do not seem to know anything." Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam asked, "What act of ignorance have you noticed from me?" The man said, "But do you not know that God has said in the Noble Quran, whoever brings a good deed, he shall have 10 like it, and whoever brings an evil deed, shall be rewarded for only with the like of it? On this basis, since I have stolen 2 fruits and 2 loaves of bread, I have 4 sins in my account. But on the other hand, since I have given it in the way of God, I have earned 40 good deeds. Reducing 4 from 40, I still have 36 good deeds in my account. A shame you have no knowledge of such things." Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam explained to him, "But have you not heard this verse of the Noble Quran, which says, Allah only accepts from those who guard against evil? You have earned 4 sins by stealing those 4 items, and 4 more sins for giving them to someone else without the consent of the owners. So you have collected 8 sins, but not a single good deed. Later, Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam said to his companions, with such rewardings and support, not only do they mislead themselves, but others as well. So that's just another story to explain about Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, and also about his teachings and how he can justify using the Quran. So now we're going to move on to a few more questions, and first of all we're just going to ask Sister Sani, what were his titles?
His titles were As-Sadiq, the truthful one, Al-Fazil, the successful, and At-Tahir, the pure.
MashaAllah, thank you very much, and thank you very much for answering that. And also, how long was his imamate?
Imam Jafar's imamate was for 34 years.
MashaAllah, and when did he die?
Imam Jafar Sadiq passed away on the 25th of Shawwal, 148 AH, and he is buried in Medina.
MashaAllah, thank you very much. And what did he teach alongside Islam?
Imam Jafar Sadiq was famous for teaching science along with Islam.
MashaAllah, thank you very much, and thank you very much for answering those questions. So just a few more facts about Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam and a few facts about his teachings. So before we continue with another story, I'd just like to remind the viewers that if anybody would like to phone in, the number's at the bottom of your screen, and you can phone in to comment on today's topic or maybe share with us something that you know about Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, or you could even recite something, so the number's at the bottom of the screen. So we're just going to move on to a story about Imam Jafar Sadiq and his prayers, and it's a story that I have here. So one day, Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam was eating dates at his home in Kufa when one of his companions approached him. After exchanging greetings, Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam invited his friend to share the dates, but his friend refused Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam's offer. Surprised, Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam said to him, "By my right over you, sit and eat." As his friend ate, Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam noticed that he looked very sad and asked him for the reason of this. He replied, "While coming, I saw something that made me feel sad. I saw the soldiers beating a woman on her head, and they dragged her to prison. She was crying out, 'By Allah and His Prophet, please help me,' but no one dared to do so." Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam asked his companion why the woman was treated in that manner, and he explained, "The woman tripped on a stone and said, 'May Allah curse your oppressors.' When the soldiers heard this, they began to hit her and arrested her." When he heard this, Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam stopped eating and wept so bitterly that his beard became wet with tears. He turned to his companion and said, "Let us go to Masjid al-Sahla to pray to Allah for the freedom of this woman." While they went to the masjid, Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam ordered some of his companions to keep watch at the gate and bring any news of the woman. When they reached the masjid, Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam and his companion offered 2 rakats for the sake of Allah. After they had completed their prayers, Imam Jafar Sadiq raised his hands in dua, his supplication, and to Allah, and said, "O listener of supplication, O Lord, O Master, O Helper, I ask you by every name you have taught us, and by those you have kept hidden, to send your blessings upon Prophet Muhammad and his pure progeny to free this woman." And he continued. After finishing his supplication, Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam said to his companion, "Let us go back, because the woman has been freed." When they arrived home, one of his companions who had sent to keep watch had come back with the good news that she had been set free. The leader also offered 200 dirhams, although she was very poor and needed money, she refused to take it. Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam was very pleased to hear this, so he gave his companion some money to take to the woman. His companion went to the woman's house with the money, and after giving it to her, he told her of Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam's tears and his prayer for her freedom. The woman took the money and cried, "Peace be upon you, O Master and Lord, O son of Prophet Muhammad." And he turned to the companion and said, "Tell Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam to pray for the followers of the Ahlul Bayt. He is our Imam, and we do not know anyone else who would pray and supplicate to Allah for us. We do not know anyone else except him and his fathers, peace be upon them all." So that's just another story to show you about Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam's teachings and also his characteristics towards other people and how he helps to free others. So before we continue with a story by Sister Sani, we have a caller on the line. So hello, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. My name is Bista. I'm calling from Birmingham. I would like to recite a surah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. أعوذ برب الناس مالك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس ومن شر الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. صدق الله العظيم.
MashaAllah, thank you very much, and thank you very much for calling in, and MashaAllah, that was wonderfully recited, and thank you very much for calling in. So if anybody else would like to phone in, the number's at the bottom of your screen, and you can phone in to recite something just like our last caller did, or maybe question today's topic, or maybe comment on something you know about Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam. So the number's at the bottom of your screen. So now we're going to move on to a story that Sister Sani has for us, and this is just about Imam Jafar Sadiq and his Hajj companion.
A man had returned from Hajj pilgrimage. He was telling his journeys to our sixth Imam, Imam Sadiq, and his friend. He was most impressed with one of his friends of Hajj pilgrimage and was admiring him. What a polite man! We are so lucky to have him with us. He was busy praying and worshipping all the time. As we would stop somewhere, he would rush to a corner and start prayers. Imam Sadiq then who was attending to his duties, who was watering and feeding his animal, right? The man. Of course, we had the honor of doing all that for him. He was busy in his holy journey and had nothing to do with such ordinary things. Imam Sadiq. Then indeed you all are better than him.
MashaAllah, thank you very much, and thank you very much for sharing that story with us. So just another quick story to explain about the characteristics of Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam. And now we're going to move on to some more questions, just to give you some more facts about Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam. So first of all, Sister Sani, who did he marry?
He married Bibi Hamida.
MashaAllah, thank you very much. And who was his successor?
His successor was Imam Musa al-Qazim.
MashaAllah, thank you very much. And could you share with us a saying from Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam?
Imam Jafar Sadiq said, "Do not answer those who speak before they greet you. This means that you should wait until someone greets you and then you are allowed to speak to them."
MashaAllah, thank you very much. And what can we learn from Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam's life?
We can learn to always remember Allah, and we can learn to help the poor and needy.
MashaAllah, thank you very much, and thank you very much for sharing with us those facts about Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam. So now we're going to move on to another story that Sister Sani has for us, and this is about the advice that Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam shared with his companions.
A resident of Kufa in Iraq was a young man whose father had died. The tragedy of the death of his father, along with poverty and unemployment, was destroying the soul of the sensitive man. One day, while sitting in his house, he heard a knock at the door. He was a friend of his father. After offering his comfort, he said, "Did your father leave anything for you?" "No." "Then take this 1,000 dirham, try to turn it into a capital, and meet your expense from its profit." Saying these words, he went away. The man, happy as he was, went to his mother and, showing the money, told her the story. The same day, he used the money in purchasing some stock and opening a shop, and set his heart to it. He made a fast progress. Soon after, he realized that not only he had met his household expenses from the profit, but also the capital had increased to a great size. Now he thought of performing Hajj pilgrimage and went to his mother for her advice. She said, "First you should repay the 1,000 dirham which has brought such wealth to us, and then you may go to Mecca for Hajj." We went to see the friend of his father, and placing a purse of 1,000 dirham before him, said, "Please accept your money back." The man thought that he was returning the same money because it was not enough for any trade. So he said, "If the amount is not enough, I can increase it." Good God, it was not too little. It has brought great wealth to us, and since I'm now quite well off money-wise, I have come to repay your money, and to show my thanks to you, mainly when I have decided to go on pilgrimage to Mecca. He went to his home and packed his luggage for Mecca. After performance of the Hajj pilgrimage, he came to Medina and went to see Imam Jafar Sadiq along with other pilgrims. There was a huge crowd in the house of Imam Jafar. Being young, he chose to sit at the far end of the gathering, and from there watched the people coming and going, and heard their questions and answers given by the Imam Jafar Sadiq. When the house became nearly empty, Imam Jafar Sadiq pointed to him and said, "What can I do for you?" "I am Abdul Rahman, son of Sayyaba of Kufa, from the tribe of Bijali." "How is your father?" asked Imam Jafar Sadiq. "He died." May Almighty Allah have His mercy upon him. Did he leave anything for you?" "No, he didn't." "Then how could you perform Hajj pilgrimage?" "After the death of my father, we were in distress. On one side his death, and on the other side poverty and unemployment were upsetting us a lot. Then one day a friend of my father gave me 1,000 dirham and advised me to invest the amount in business. I followed his advice, and from its profit I came to perform Hajj." Before he could finish his story, Imam Jafar Sadiq said, "Tell me, what did you do about the money of your father's friend?" I refunded the amount on the advice of my mother before coming out for Hajj pilgrimage." "Very good. Do you like me to give you an advice?" "May I be your deal?" "Of course." Imam Jafar Sadiq said, "Be truthful and righteous. A truthful and righteous man is a partner in the wealth of others." Imam Jafar Sadiq said, "A believer is the brother and guide of another believer. He does not betray or oppress him, nor does he ever cheat his brother. A believer never breaks his promise."
Mashallah, thank you very much, and thank you very much for sharing that story with us. So that was just another story to explain about Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam and his advice towards other people who are his followers. So now we're going to move on to another story that I have here, and this is about Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam distributing food amongst the poor. A servant of Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam tells the following event. It was a dark, cold night. Our sixth Imam, Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, was walking along carrying a heavy sack. "Where is Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam going with this heavy sack?" I said to myself. "In this dark night, perhaps he will find himself in danger. It is best for me to walk along with him and guard him." I walked quietly along behind Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, but I could not think where he was going or what he was carrying. We walked through a few lanes, and then I heard a noise. It sounded as if the Imam's sack had fallen to the ground. I heard the Imam's voice as he prayed, "O Lord, help me through this dark night to find what I have lost." I went closer to Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam and could see the sack which he had been carrying on his back was lying on the ground. Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam was trying with his hands to collect what was inside. I came up to Imam Jafar Sadiq and said to him, "Is it you?" He replied, "Yes, it is me." "Will you let me help you?" replied the servant. Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam had been carrying loaves of bread and packets of food, and I helped him gather them and put them back into the sack. When the sack was full, I asked him if he allowed me to carry it for him. "No," he said, "it is more fitting for me to carry it." My grandfather, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, used to say that whoever does not think about the needs of other Muslims is not a Muslim, and whoever sleeps at night with a full stomach while his neighbours are hungry is not a Muslim. Together we walked along until we came to a lodge where many poor people were living. Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam put his load on the ground and quietly, without awakening anyone, began to give out the food that he had bought. He put the share of each person by the side of his head, and without anyone knowing who it was from, we quietly left. Allah tells us in the Noble Quran, "Give to the poor and hand out from what we have provided you, and make them needless before the day of judgment, when you will be sorry for your storing of wealth, and you will be faced with severe punishment." So that's just another story to explain about Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam's characteristics, and also to explain about he gave to charity but without telling anybody, so he did it in the dead of night, just so he wouldn't show off about him giving charity. So now we're going to move on to one last story that Sister Sani has for us, and this is about brotherhood.
Brotherhood in Islam. One of the most remarkable companions of Imam Jafar Sadiq was passing through the market of Kufa in Iraq. He saw two followers of Imam Jafar Sadiq arguing with each other. He came closer and asked them why they were arguing. It seemed that the argument was over some kind of inheritance, and one of them was claiming a sum of 400 dirhams from the other. When he heard this story, he took both of them to his house. There he gave the money to the claimant, made them friends again, and pleaded with them to live in peace. When they were leaving, he told them, "Verily this money is not from me, but from my master Imam Jafar Sadiq, who has allowed me to use it for keeping peace amongst the believers in Muslim society." When two believers are arguing, Islam teaches us to make a peace between them and not to add wood to the fire. Whoever cheers a fight or argument is not a believer, but a devil in the form of a human being. Indeed, the faithful are brothers to each other. Therefore, make peace between your brothers and be wary of Allah, so that you may receive His mercy. It's Noble Quran 49:10. I advise you and all my children, my relatives, and whoever receives this message, to be aware of Allah, to remove your differences, and to strengthen your ties. I heard your grandfather, peace be upon him, say, "Understanding of your differences is more worthy than all prayers and all fasting," the last will of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, "To take at a brother lovingly for pleasure of Allah is a worship."
MashaAllah, thank you very much, and thank you very much for sharing that story with us. So just another story to explain about Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam's teachings, and also him teaching his followers about brotherhood. So that concludes the information side of today's show, and join us after the break to do some craft related towards our topic, Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam. So see you after the break. and sisters, and welcome back to Future Stars. I'm your host, Alvia Zaidi, and today let me just reintroduce my guests. So we have Sister Sani with us, and previously, before the break, we were talking about Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam. We were giving you some facts and some information and reading to you some stories about his life, just to give you an insight on his personality and his characteristics. So now in the craft part of today's show, we'll be teaching you how to make these boxes out of paper, so they'll be out of origami, and Sister Sani will be joining in with today's craft. So let's get started. First of all, what you need is a square piece of paper, and the square piece of paper is, we've chosen the colour pink, but you can choose any colour that you like, and it's got colour on both sides. So you need to start off with this piece of paper and just fold it in half, like so. So you fold it in half lengthways, and then you're just going to crease that and open it out, and then you're going to fold it in half from one side to the other again. So simply just folding it in half again, and then you're just going to open that out, and then you're going to take a corner to the other corner and fold that in half through the corners. So just match up the corners and crease along the line. And what you're going to do is open that up and then take the other corner to the other side. And crease that down the line. And then you're going to open up your piece of paper again. And then next what you're going to do is take each corner and you're going to fold them into the centre. So if you just take the corner and fold it into the centre and crease down the line, and then you're going to leave that like it is and do the same for the other four corners. So you're going to take the corner and fold it towards the centre, take the corner and fold it towards, and just crease down the line, and do that completely. And then, so you should have your shape like this. So it's still a square, but you have the triangles here. And then what you're going to do is open out two of the triangles that you folded in. So you open out one from one side and one from the other. So your shape should look like that at the moment. Then what you're going to do is take this top line and you're going to fold it in towards the centre, like so. You're just going to fold it into the centre like this, keeping the triangle inside with it. And then you're going to do the same with the bottom line. So this bottom line is just going to fold towards the centre, and you just fold it in, and then you're going to crease down the edges. So you should have your shape like this. And then what you're going to do is, if you look closely, you can see two lines going diagonally across, as you can see them, and you're just going to fold along those lines. So if you see, you're just going to fold that line down and crease this section like so, and then you're going to do the same with the bottom line. So you're just going to fold along the line that you see and open that out, and then you're going to do exactly the same. You're just going to fold along the line, like so, and then fold along the bottom line, so like that, and then you just open them out to look the same. And then you're just going to turn it flat so it rests on your hand like that, and you can open up, you're just going to open up these two sides very gently, and you're going to attempt to push these corners over in. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the top triangles and you're just going to open up slightly and push the top triangles over the edge. And it should crease it down so it looks like that. So you're just going, if I show you that again, what you're going to do is hold the corners, the pieces together, and you're just going to open up the rest of the piece of paper so that they attach, and you'll be able to see it if you're doing it. They just attach together, and you can just fold them. So these, as you can see, they fold together, and you just push it down and crease along that line, and then one side has been done. So if I show you on the other side, you have your shape like this, and you just keep your corners folded in, and you open up the rest of the shape, and you just push it over the line and crease it. So it should look like this, and then you can crease the sides so they keep the same shape, and you just crease the sides so you have a consistent shape, and you should have your box like so. So if you just crease the sides, and you should have your box. So that finishes today's craft, and that's how you create a box. And also, if you make two of them, you can just put them into the other, and if you just put them in, then you can create your own box, and you can just open them up. And it's a great gift idea because you can just put the gift in and then put the other one on top, so it's like a lid. And then that's a really simple way just to put gifts in and give them away to, if there's a birthday coming up or a present, so you can just put them in the box, and that's an easy, simple way to wrap up a present. So that concludes today's craft. And Sister Sani, would you like to show us your box? So, mashallah, that looks very good. And Sister Sani joined in with today's craft, so thank you very much. And thank you very much for joining in with the information part of today's show and also with the craft. And I'd like to say thank you very much for watching, and also don't forget that you can watch the previous Future Stars videos on YouTube, and you can also email in to give us some feedback, so that will be at the bottom of the screen. So thank you very much for watching, and I'd like to say thank you to the callers who called in previously. Today's topic was Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam. This was Future Stars. I'm your host Alvia Zaidi. Khuda Hafiz.